Welcome to Build with Brittany. In this episode, I'm talking to T Money Anthony and Myla Hall all about how to become a bulletproof entrepreneur. And you're going to want to stay till the very end because we are talking about 5 actionable steps to start or scale your business. Also in this episode, we're going to talk about how to overcome challenges and develop a bulletproof mindset so that you can get through anything. The real deal about partnerships. How to pick a partner, how to get through the miscommunications, how to split things equitably, all of that. The 7 essential business counts that every entrepreneur needs to have to effectively manage their business and money. How to grow your credit profile so you're eligible for funding. And how branding and marketing are critical from day one, and how the first thing you need to think about and the last thing you need to think about. So let's jump in. Welcome to Build with Brittany. My name is Brittany Rose, and today I'm here with the Bulletproof Entrepreneurs, T. Anthony Money and Myla Hall. Thank y'all so much for being with me. I'm really excited to dig into this conversation.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So let me start with just y'all telling us who you are and your individual journeys and becoming a bulletproof entrepreneur.
Well, my name is T. Anthony Money. I've been a business coach for the last 10, 15 years. I started off in the network marketing industry, direct sales, and I did pretty well. I became a top income earner in that industry. COVID hit, and I needed to make a decision on, do I want to transition into full-time coaching, or do I want to still build teams in network marketing and continue my career in that area? And I made a decision that, I wanted to go out and venture on my own now. I want to build my own empire. I'm not saying the network marketing isn't a platform or a real business, but it was something in me saying that I need to go out and go do bigger things and help more people.
And I love network marketing because it teaches you a lot of those skills, those sales skills, those mindset skills that you really need to be successful. And I know you talk a lot about personal development and entrepreneurship and really having a bulletproof mindset. Tell us more about your individual story and how you've cultivated a bulletproof mindset.
Yes. Well, again, my name is Myla Hall. My background, it comes from, I didn't even know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My grandfather, he took sick, and I just knew that I wanted to take care of him. So me and 2 other young ladies started an adult care facility, and we just kind of took off from there. That we didn't get a lot of money from it, but I was able to take care of my grandfather, so that was rewarding to me. Then we ended up opening up home health care, which was non-medical, and from anywhere from 2015 all the way to 2020, we was revenuing up to like $3 million a year.
Wow.
And the first 2 years, it was just like a growing business, and then it just took off. We didn't know what was happening, and we had, what was it, ignorant bliss?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, like we just was, so anyways, we're growing up to there. In 2020, I visit Houston, and I'm like, okay, I'm moving to Houston, but I'm thinking my business is got foundation. So I move off to Houston, don't really have a real plan, but my brain is like, I can expand the business I have with the other 2 young ladies. Well, the business started going down instead of up, and I had to start all over. And by me starting all over, I had to live off my credit for 9 months. From that business, I was revenuing, at least just personally, my check for my position was $10,000 a month. And then one day I got a check, our census went down. It went from 600 and went from 300, and I lived off credit. So I rebuilt myself up. And me and him was talking, we got a lot of history together. So we were talking, and it was basically like, you know what? Even though he was coaching, he was actually my coach before. And he was like, you made to consult. You know what this is. You actually built this. You went back down, and you built it back up. It's time for you to get out there and show other people. And that's where the impact is at, by helping other people, become what you are, that want to know this information. So I started doing lives and all the other stuff. And then at this point, we came up with the Bulletproof Entrepreneur, because, he's like, now we want to bulletproof it. We want to help people get into savings accounts and different accounts and stuff. And we just, put a map together, what we wanted that to look like.
So one of the key things I'm hearing you say is partnership, like partnership in your first business, partnership in your next business, and collaboration over competition is like the theme in several of my businesses as well. But we also know it can be hard to collaborate. It can be hard to be a partner in that first business. Like, what did your partnership structure look like? And then what would you advise people to do now as up and coming entrepreneurs?
Oh, well, my partnership, it was all over the place, and you don't know that when you get into a partnership the first time. You don't understand it's like a marriage. So, like, when people get into relationships and they don't communicate well, they're ready to break up and end everything and forget the why. So, between the three of us, we went through a lot of that stuff. And what I would tell anybody, like, I would always suggest partnership, because somebody always have a strength where you weak at, and vice versa. So if you can recognize that and don't be so into your ego or saying, because we can do anything as humans, right? But you don't got to worry about like this camera stuff that's going on right now, because we got an expert in here, right?
Yep.
So let people flourish in what they good at and respect it. And if it's something that's off, then, let's talk about what's off. Let's talk about exit plans. Let's communicate and get a coach. So we didn't have a coach, right? So our work styles was different.
Yep.
And we knew each other personally, and I don't think we could respect each other and knew how to like take in what it was in the partnership. So I learned that, and when I look back at it, some stuff I might even blame my partner for, I realized like I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
And I needed more understanding, or I needed to take a step back and look at what could I have done, or because I didn't want to cause an argument or make someone feel some type of way. Like, feelings are temporary, and this conversation is important to have. And now I'm sitting on a conversation for 6 months and basically like letting my business go to waste because of my feelings. And that's what people even do in marriages. Like, you got a small problem, but now you sat on it for 6 months, and you about to end your whole marriage over a conversation that could have been, had.
And I'm sure in coaching a lot of people, I'm sure you've seen that happen time and time again. How do people avoid that?
I mean, let's face it. Anything that women are doing together is going to be some problems.
Okay, women and men.
And I'm gonna say this, with mad respect to women.
If you're ready to turn your hustle into lasting wealth, then starting a business is a powerful first step. But real estate, that's the game changer. That's why we created Tennis to Tycoons, a step-by-step guide to help you build wealth, whether it's active, hands-on wealth or passively generated. If you want a personalized plan tailored just to you to create a 100-year legacy plan for yourself and your future generations, find more information in the description below. Now let's get back to our episode.
But if you just think about it, any group of women, there's always going to be some problems. So if you're going to be a group and you say, hey, I want a group or a partnership full of women, you got to already expect it, right? It's like I had these big teams in network marketing, we talk about thousands of people. My teams are 80% women. So I pretty much know what I'm talking about, because I deal with women every day, all day long. And so I always tell them, I say, what is it with women that when one is taking the leadership position, that it becomes a problem? What is in you that's making you think that another woman can't lead you? Men have the same problem. Men don't want women to lead them. But what is it with women that you can't see another woman leading you? And that's all it is. It's a competition thing when you're in a group full of women. It's somebody that's getting more something that this person is getting upset about. The person won't communicate. And now you turn the person out to be a bad person, and you start creating these weird problems within the partnership.
I think it's all about staying in your lane, right?
Yeah.
When everybody knows the lane that they are in and they're glorified in that lane, then you don't get a lot of like those types of issues.
I think more mature women can do it, but that's a rare thing when I've worked with women all these years. So typically what I do is I always do a lot of rewards things in my groups. I always, even the small wins, just because you did the most sales in the group, I'm not just going to give you, all the praise. I'm going to give that person who's never made a sale before and finally got their first sale some praise too. Absolutely. And then I also partner and I put people together and say, hey, let this person be your accountability partner. So you got to find ways and partnerships to make it work. Even if you're dating somebody, you just meet this person, y'all love each other at first, and then one day it's just something you don't like about this person. Well, what happened was you was just caught up in that beginning stage stuff, and you never asked this person, what do you really want?
Right.
What do you really like? Is it something that, you see that I do that you may not like? Let me know up front. I don't want you to be upset and scared to tell me, and then we just end up, broke up and never really got a chance for our relationship to flourish because of that communication. So I say in business, it's the same thing. Communication is the key. Mm-hmm. Without communication, it's going to be a big problem.
Absolutely. A friend of mine always says it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Oh, yeah, the delivery.
Right. So how do you coach people through making sure that their delivery is well received?
Well, that happens in, okay, so your delivery is how you do one thing is how you do everything first and foremost. So if you talk to your husband crazy and you come to work and I'm your boss, you may think that you can talk to me crazy too. So that behavior comes from somewhere, right? So if you're going to coach somebody on delivery, you first got to, get to the bottom of why this person's behavior is like that. Well, they talking like that because maybe they wasn't able to talk at home. Maybe they couldn't tell their parents everything. Maybe they came from some type of abuse or something. So as I'm coaching people, we dig a little bit deep in that first, in the mindset, and then we start working on the mindset, cultivating, and then giving them strategies to overcome it.
So it's almost a form of therapy.
That's what you want to call it.
Well, you got to know what the problem is. So, because it's a lot of fear-based, like even when he's saying to women, it's crazy because I had an epiphany in my head, and I always go off because I do parables. But my epiphany was when young girls, like they're at first they all woo, and then when the next girl come in there, they get jealous of the next girl, and it's just a fear of, I don't get this spot, and it's something that we're feeding our mind that feel like we're not getting, or something's going to be taken from us because someone else is holding this space with us. So a lot of stuff is fear, or like he said, is trauma that you don't know why you're aggressive. So I realized, like, even, and I still like struggle with it, but my defense mechanism is me feeling like unheard. So when somebody talk to you a certain type of way, you going into defense because you scared, and you like, what I might say, it might run you away, or you might not be my friend.
It might feel like that daddy who used to yell at mama. When you hear a man talking to you, you don't hear the man talking, you hear your dad yelling. And so now you go back into that 14-year-old girl where you ran in the room and locked your door, and now you're treating your husband like this. But the husband don't know where this behavior is coming from.
Well, I'm sure y'all both agree with me that therapy is needed for everyone.
Oh, everybody.
It is, but it could become a cult too. Like it could become a person just claiming it for everything. And have some struggles.
Not just therapy. You gotta put yourself in a group of, surround yourself with people who that you can have an outlet to. You know what I'm saying? Not just gossiping and telling everybody your business, but people who respect you enough to even listen to you.
Well, and I think that's part of the mindset, right? In the community that you all cultivate, putting yourself around other people who are focused on personal development and bettering themselves, building businesses, etc. So I know you start with like the mindset and with you as an individual, you as a person, but you also do a lot of work on people's finances.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you got to fix the mindset before you can even understand why you got the money blocks, right? So with the finances, the first thing everybody should focus on is to make sure that your credit is in some type of good standing so that we can move you forward faster. But if it's not, that's fine. We'll still help you in that area, to get that score up. So, when it's time to fund the business, that you're ready to go with no problems. So the finances is about, making sure that you're putting money in places for it to grow. So if you start out the business, you got your LLC, the foundation is good, you got the business bank account. A lot of people stop there, right? But it's much more to setting up a business than just a business bank account. What we do with the Bulletproof Entrepreneurs, we tell people, hey, it's 7 accounts that each entrepreneur should have and set up immediately. So as we get you funded and the money starts coming in and you gain profit and you're ready to scale your business, that money is in places for it to grow in case a rainy day happen. Even though the cash flow may not be coming in, you're set up to still sustain and weather that storm.
Absolutely.
And that's what bulletproof means.
And what does that look like?
That looks like, like me and her was talking yesterday, A lot of people don't know that Ameritrade merged with Charles Schwab, right? And so she had an account for 5 years ago with like $5,000 in it. And the money was still there, and it switched over to Charles Schwab. And because I said, get you a Charles Schwab account. He said, it's crazy. My Ameritrade account is now a Charles Schwab account, and the 5,000 is still there. So you want to open up that. Yes, you don't know how to trade stocks, and that's perfectly fine. But you are smart enough to open that account, put $200 or $300 in there, go to the penny stocks or whatever stocks is available, see how much the share is, and spend as much money as that 500 or 300 can get you in shares just to start off.
Absolutely.
It's simple as what I'm telling you. And a lot of people think, I just don't know what I'm doing. Neither did I when I first got started. Nobody told me how to do that. I just one day got an account and, start messing around. And so get you a healthcare savings account. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you don't have any health insurance.
Yep.
So get you get you an account where it's high yielding and it matches whatever you put in it, right? And also get you a retirement account. Don't you want to retire? Don't you have a 5 to 10 year retirement plan in this business? So these are accounts that you could simply set up with no money. And just have them set up and ready, so when the money start coming in, or we get you funded $100,000, we could put something over here, and every month, guess what? Have $150 coming out your account, going straight to some of those accounts.
Absolutely,
You never see
and
it.
growing with compound
everything
interest.
is compound interest. So, like, even think of the Roth IRA. The contribution, you can't even contribute over $7,500. So that's already telling you something about that account. It's probably a good account to have. Being they saying you can't even put no more than $7,500 a year in this.
Yeah.
And as it grow, you going into your retirement account. So when you get 60, 70 years old, you straight. You don't have your family worried about you looking for Medicaid and difference like that, because you got to forget about it.
Especially right now with all these cuts and everything happening.
And you got to forget about it. So and sometimes, if you can afford it, like a $90 a week, like your first thing you might do it. So you do $90 a week. At the end of the year, that's $4,000 or 40 something. I ain't whatever in the number. But when it compound in 2 years, your portfolio is at 16,000, and then in 5 years it's at 29,000, and then it's just compounding, and you put $90 a week, which we spend it on Starbucks, we spend it on whatever. I mean, it might be cheaper. You might want to go $30 a week, but you still putting money in there, and it's gaining interest on it.
Honestly, even if it's $5 a day, it's the
doesn't
habit,
matter.
it's the mindset that
And
helps.
a lot of times we think, and I thought that we think that you can't even touch those accounts unless you got $1 million. So that was one of the things that we were talking about that we wanted to dig into by creating this community. Is we want people to know that if you got $100, go open up you an account, because people do have the money. They just don't know that it's small money like that'll make a difference later on. Even when I looked at it, I was like, man, I should have did this when I opened the business in 2015.
I mean, just think about it. Every 3 months, I get a dividends check. So it's money that's coming that I'm not doing anything.
It's free money.
I ain't doing nothing for
pay
it.
your rent. Or,
Absolutely.
Like in 20 years, you can live rent free. Almost you getting $3,000 in dividends. A month
Every 3
or
months.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the HSA account and the Roth IRA, you can make them self-directed. You can use that to invest in real estate.
Absolutely.
Free.
Well, most entrepreneurs don't even know this. Most people in corporate America don't even know.
Yeah, and you don't even gotta be an entrepreneur. So we want to teach. We understand that everybody's not an entrepreneur, but those people that can get a hold to some money, you want to pay into these things.
Absolutely. And you want to start it for your kids too.
Yeah.
I remember being in maybe middle school and wanting a Roth IRA account and going to the bank, and the banker telling me, oh, you're too young for that. You don't need that. But had I started that account and put $5 in it,
Oh yeah.
it would have been an
The younger
opportunity.
you are, the better.
Exactly. And so even if you feel like it's too late for you, it's not too late to educate yourself. It's not too late to start, and it's not too late to make sure that your kids are prepared.
If you got your income tax check and you got $8,000 back, we know that the first thing that most people are doing is trying to pay old bills back, right? But I wouldn't necessarily be focused on paying old bills back. I would be focused on, okay, where should this money be allocated to, so that this $1,000 that I'm going to put in it, within 12 months it'll be this much, and I can go pay those old bills back then if I have to.
Absolutely.
But you wanna make sure that you're taking care of now, and you setting up for the rainy day, because everybody's going to have another rainy day.
especially with all the changes
Oh, yeah.
And it
happening in our
gets
country.
tight. So it's just planning. And,
Yeah.
But not knowing it was there, or like even how I just told you I had a business that was revenuing $3 million. So that means each partner was taking home $10,000 every month. So there was $30,000 profit after we paid out stuff and everything. If I would have knew about that stuff then, I mean, he called me. It's now 2021 where he like, okay, open up this account, and I still hadn't done it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was still ignorant. But had I had done it or knew about it in 2014, when 2015, when business was growing, and I don't have a problem. Like I said, we all come up with money, but you like, oh well, I took so and so out to eat, or I got to buy so and so some shoes. So that's just like the shoe money that you can just put away and forget about it. 'Cause some people don't forget about it. Some people be like, they don't believe. So it's the mindset, they don't believe they even deserve it, so they'll take it back out. And they looking at it, and you got to forget about it.
I mean, people boycotting Target. They need to boycott their habits.
I think you can do both.
They no, I mean I mean that's one cause. My cause is to make sure my family is good first. You know what I'm saying? So you need to boycott some habits and step back away from, your bad spending habits and all that stuff. And
I tell you, Target is a cause for bad spending habits.
yeah, I mean definitely. So with that being said, if you can do that, then you can do this for yourself.
Absolutely.
So I just think that people, they say, oh, I got to sit down and learn. No, you don't have to sit down and learn. You just it's action. Just start doing stuff.
Yeah. And it's also about reprogramming your mind.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you all produce a lot of content. Like, are they following you on social media? Is that what their feed is full of, right? Are you looking on YouTube? Are you following podcasts? Are you listening to Audible, right? It's about retraining who you are as a person. Yes.
Everything is repetition.
And you're putting off a magnetic field on your body, right? So we know with a magnetic field that it's going to attract certain things. So whatever you're putting out in the field, your magnetic field is going to pull it back into you. So if you in search of saying, hey, I need to find, something to do. I want to build this business. I need to get me a coach. If you start projecting that outwards, those stuff will start coming to you even without you sitting down trying to study it.
Absolutely.
It would just start falling in your lap, I mean, Facebook already got us set up. As soon as we start talking, they start showing us the ads. So, you just got to put it out there.
Do stuff, do it scared. Because we all are babies of everything. We all kindergartens of their stuff. So you might be an expert in your business, collecting money and making sure everybody's investing and stuff. But if I said, come over to this healthcare, you're a baby in it.
Absolutely.
So you got to, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You just got to start. And when you start doing baby steps and, and give yourself grace, like, okay, I don't know everything. So it might become overwhelming. But if I keep making small steps towards something, it's going to open up for you. So it goes back to that magnetic field that he's talking about. Like, you keep going towards it, things are going to be sent to you. And like all the other stuff I say is God sent me the right people for the right purpose and everything. Because if I don't know it, then once I start calling on it and affirming it, it starts coming to me because I decide.
And I think we all live by that. Like, nobody's exempt from that. Like, we were just talking off camera about Dawn and her situation. Like, get into that a little bit.
Yeah, it is, her situation is not an unheard or unnatural situation. I think in the music industry or any entertainment industry, it's a lot of people who were once at the top of their game and something happened. And either they had to go back, to an old lifestyle, or, some of them became homeless, or, even some of them, have went to drugs or whatever the case may be. They have to understand as an artist or as an entertainer, you're still a business owner. So if you're going to sign a deal or something, the first thing you should have in place before you sign any deal or sit down with any people is you should have a structured business already in place. So when you get in your publishing, when you got royalties and different things coming in from show performances and stuff like that, that money goes through a business. It's not going through you. So that business has different tax brackets and laws that is different from a single person just taking in money from a business but acting as a person.
Yep.
So, and with that being said, when you have your business set up, now you need to make sure you got that entertainment attorney in place. You got that accountant, you got the bookkeeper, and these are trusted people that, you need to make sure that that's in place, because you can't see everything, and you need to have somebody that has a check and balance system with those people too. Just because you're my bookkeeper, now I got somebody checking what you're doing. And so I say, if you make $1 million or you make $100 million, those people need to be in place, and you need to be set up as a business from day one. I'm working with an artist now, and I just met him on Instagram. Got a beautiful voice. I mean, I see the talent already. Had a long conversation with him. I said, hey, if I decide to take you on as a project, because I came from the music industry, I used to be in the music industry as well. The first thing we got to do, you got to have a business set up. That's where my expertise is at. I'm going to make money with or without you. So it's not about me making money off of you. I see the talent, but we got to set you up right. Because if you're set up right as a business, even when you're long gone away from me, because we know that happens, in business, you'll do a look back and say, man, my first manager or anybody, he had me totally set up. And he said, man, I've had a lot of offers. I never spoke to anybody like you before. So if you're an artist out there or you're an entertainer, the first thing you need to do in business is go ahead and get structured as a business. Open an LLC. If you're already making money and got show performances, you may need to be an escort because of the tax bracket and different, laws depending on what you're doing. But get that stuff open up a business bank account. Don't have the money coming to your regular accounts. And, as you make more money and as you grow, put certain people in place to help you make that money get bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like her story, so I think sometimes we weigh stuff different because of, like seeing a face on TV. But, everybody's human. We all put on our clothes the same way and stuff. But her story is really no different. Even though today she's like, I'm living out of a car. When that happened with me, I was DoorDashing.
I seen her spirit when she said that too, because she's thinking to herself, I'm telling the world that I've been living out my car for a year. That we talking about Don from En Vogue. We ain't talking about no little fly-by-night artists. These people were huge in the 90s and the early 2000s. And recently, one of the other group members just came back to the group. I forgot the other lady's name, Maxine. She just came back to En Vogue. So for her to get on there and tell the world, first of all, let's give her some props, because that's got to be tough to get out there and tell the world and put yourself out there like that. But in the same token, she said something that stuck with me at the end of the video. She said, hey, I've been documenting what's been going on with me. I have all the footage. I'm going to become big again. I'm going to put this out. She started affirming what's happening. And I said, that's how you do it. Now you got a book deal. Now you got to, you don't have to even go back into music. Now you can create a movie. Now you could do a documentary. So, don't look at that lady's situation and say, oh man, that man,
and she went into,
how did that happen to her?
I don't know who wrote my story, Netflix, Tubi, TMZ, who wrote this story?
Yeah, but she affirmed the stuff, so just get set up as a business. It's so much more easier. It's so much more protection, and different things like that. Let's face it, the music industry it's a dog-eat-dog world, so protect yourself.
So my last question, if you had to give someone an action plan to build their business, to build their life, what would be top 5 steps?
The first step is, okay, what's the business? Like, what do you want to do? Let's get clear and concise on what the goal is, right? To me, that's the first step. Like, your mindset, where are you at? Are you at a job? Do you need to create an exit plan? What does this look like in the next 12 months? What does your credit score look like? Let's make sure that you're even in position to even go out there and, make sure you got the funding to go ahead and fund this business. Is your business set up? Like we just talked about Don Robinson, make sure that your business is completely set up. That means you got the LLC, you got the S Corp, whatever that is, you got the business bank account, you got the DUNS number, you got everything that you need to get started in business. Because let's face it, if you don't do that, it's a hobby. It's not a business. We all know that businesses are profitable. So that's what we're looking to get into the profit zone. And the next thing after that is, once we come up with the business, you got the name, you got the logo, all that stuff is, sort of in place. Okay, now we go through the funding process. Say you get $100,000 on your first funding, you need to take at least 25% of that and put it into your branding and marketing. If you don't have branding and marketing, how are the people going to know what you're doing? And know that branding and marketing is a continual expense. It doesn't stop. Because you're gonna need pictures. You're gonna need, sometimes you gotta wrap a car. Whatever. It's always gonna be spending money in your branding and marketing, and then the rest of it you put it in the places where it needs to go. And then once you have the funding in the business, now it's time to actually go out there and say, okay, what's the strategy? If I got a brick and mortar, how long is it going to take me to get this up and running? If it's 8 months, if it's 9 months, what does that look like? And what are we doing in between that time? We're not waiting to get paid. So now if I got a store, the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, the store ain't open yet. Let me go ahead and start offering some online products while we're building the store. Mm-hmm. So now we're creating a income and residuals as we're building the store. And so when the store open and it doesn't make a lot of money in the first 6 months, it doesn't feel like you didn't make no money.
Right.
But these are strategies only a good culture mentor can help you, even acquire. And so once you have that going, the store open, now how do we scale it?
Are you asking me?
I'm just saying, that's the plan.
No, I agree. I agree with all of that. And it seems like you have a really good system for making that happen.
Yeah.
And the right people in place to make that happen. And
Absolutely.
I love what you're talking about in terms of marketing and branding, because too many people don't invest they skip it. And they think that even if they have the best mousetrap, like it's just going to sell itself. That's not how it works.
It may start off good.
And that's what he's saying, when you get the money. So sometimes you don't have the money and we get it. Like you might come up with a name that's not brandable or, whatever. But when you get the money and when it's going good, you want to do that. You don't want to wait till it's all gone again. And that's what happened to even the healthcare business. Like just word of mouth, we did our thing. So belly to belly works, but we could have been bigger had we understood marketing.
And people actually knew y'all was there.
Yeah, and nobody knew we was there at all. So we just did that based off of word of mouth. So we would have did more. We would have had a website, all the other type of stuff. Then it would have.
And I know a lot of people. I hear a lot of people online saying you don't need a website. Guys, do not listen to those people. You should have a website so when people look you up, they want to make sure that you're legit.
Yeah.
Get you a website, even if you can't afford to pay me, because I charge a lot of money for websites, but because it's tedious work. But start any type of website, get something out there just to have you up and running. Stop worrying about the money so much. We're giving you the game plan on how to get the money. Yeah. All of us can acquire the money. It's just got to be a strategy in place, and you just got to, get with the right people to get you in that position.
Yeah, I definitely think the website. I mean, I'm moving nowadays towards the funnel and the CRM systems because it's able to collect more data, but that's still just a website to get you through.
Yeah.
So, but you need somewhere where somebody can see it feel more trusted.
And it should represent you a certain way.
Yeah.
And when you get the funding, they're going to look to see if you got a website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they look for those.
Absolutely. We would love to come back on. If you're trying to reach us, you can reach me. I'm T. Anthony Money. I'm the brand boss ATL on IG. And Myla Hall.
I'm My Love 2004 on IG and CitySpan. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, and we also have a Bulletproof Entrepreneur Instagram page and YouTube.
Before you go, check out this playlist, information about building wealth, entrepreneurship, and real estate. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend.